Welcome back to Trade 360. I'm Diane King Hall. Time now for the big three stocks, three charts, and three trades. Ben Watson will take us through the charts. And here to take us through the trades is Jason Brown, founder of thebrownreport.com and author of 5-Year Millionaire. It is great to be with both of you, with you, Jason, here on set, and Ben, again, I talked to Ben earlier today. He'll join us virtually. Before we hear about your picks today, I want to get your big picture take on the market, especially as we wind down this month, because I know you pay attention to patterns.
Yeah, well, like I said last time I was here, I'm cautiously bullish, and I'm still cautiously bullish because when you look at the market breadth, the S&P 500 is making new highs, but what's causing it? Really two industries, which is the industrials and then mostly powered by tech and AI. So the rest of the market isn't broad-basely participating. So if tech starts to wither out a little bit, I think we could be in for a pullback. A
wilt, potentially, right? Given the heat that we have here. All right, so one stock that hasn't been feeling that heat of wilting is Nvidia. It is on your list today. What's the approach now, especially given the outperformance we've seen recently?
Yeah, so the way I look at AI, Diane, is we're witnessing or living through like electricity being put in houses. And so they had to build a power grid, they had to mine for copper and run lines to the house, and then they needed switches to activate the electricity in the house. It's the same thing that's going on with AI right now. So we need the chips, we need the power grids, and then we also need the switches. And so Nvidia is going to be a recipient of all those chips. You saw all the companies, not all the companies, but some of the Mag 7 reported, and they're talking about the CapEx spend where they're increasing it into the billions. Microsoft spent almost $30 billion just this quarter, and Nvidia is going to be a recipient of that. When you look at AI, are we at the beginning, the middle, or the end? I can assure you that we're at the beginning, or else they wouldn't be raising their CapEx. They haven't even paused it yet, let alone start to say we're going to slow down spending on it. So I believe we're still at the beginning stages, and companies like Nvidia are going to be a recipient of all that CapEx spend for chips.
Okay, all right. So before we get into more details on your trade, I want to bring in Ben to take a look at this chart. I always love Ben's perspective. Ben, what do you notice about the patterns here?
Well, I tell you what, Diane and Jason, thanks for that lead in, because Nvidia, I think you're absolutely right, is at the beginning of kind of their larger narrative. But the smaller narrative, take a look at what's going on with the stock at the moment, seen a little bit of a gap up and sell off today. And I think that's the nature of leadership. I mean, Nvidia has been in the kind of leadership and driving role within this AI spend space. But at the same time, we've got a couple of big blowout earnings announcements. And so the nature of the market is you rotate out of some of those leaders and into the ones that are now emerging in terms of growth. And I think that's what we're seeing a little bit today. Some investment pairing of Nvidia in this gap up sell off today, selling a little bit of that high price so that money can be rotated elsewhere. Because what I notice in this chart, in the lower panels in these two sentiment indicators that I've got, the RSI and the MACD, both of these cases we're seeing these slight bearish divergences. Now, not that that signals potentially a reversal, it simply maybe signals a pause and a little bit of a rotation in the very short term, because you look at the consistency of this trend, it is very strong. Now, the question becomes, Diane, and I think this is something that we'll talk about across all three of these stocks that we'll look at, you see the same type of thing, a bit of a bearish divergence, a slowdown in momentum, as suggested, kind of going into summertime and going into potentially this not really driving market, but slightly pausing market, at least at the moment here with Nvidia.
All right, so Jason, floor's yours. Tell us a little bit about your trade approach here.
Yeah, so I want to say I agree with Ben totally, and also I think it's important to keep in mind, even in an uptrend, stocks have pullbacks or a little bit of a sell-off to the moving average. And so that's why I'm looking at long calls, June 18, 2026. The reason is money's going to continue to pour into AI, into companies like Nvidia, and so we don't necessarily want to be panicking on every daily move, but if you look at the move Microsoft made over time, that cup and handle pattern, the stock went higher. Nvidia just recently broke out above its resistance level and forming that cup and handle pattern. We're in that handle now, and I think that handle can continue for a while. So June 18th, 2026 call, 172 strike price. You're paying about $35 for that. Break even is 207. You got 322 days for that trade to mature. And like any trade, you want to think about, where would I be wrong at if this trade goes against me? I'm looking at the 20-day moving average, where you want to start to reconsider if you need to take a small loss or roll some put options into that play to protect your account.
Okay, let's talk about the next one on your list. You've got Broadcom on your list as well today. There are those who argue that it should be a member of the Mag 7, or let's call it the Mag 7 Plus, as my colleague Nicole calls it. So tell me about your views here.
So what I like about Broadcom is not just another chip manufacturer. Broadcom specializes in making custom chips. So its customers are Apple for the M1 chips and some of those silicone chips. It partners with Google, it partners with Amazon for AWS, their Amazon Web Service. So they make custom chips for a specific application, which is what I like about Taiwan Semiconductor. So they're not necessarily competing with Nvidia, because Nvidia makes a broad-based chip for general purposes. But this is, when you need something custom, this is the company to go to. So I like Broadcom. And much like Nvidia, much like Microsoft, it's in that cup and handle pattern. You see the handle starting to break out, and I think that uptrend can continue.
All right, Jason's diving into your lane now, Ben, with those patterns, the cup and handle patterns he notices. What do you notice on this chart, Ben?
Yeah, again, the thing is, strength of trend is kind of the key here. Off those April lows, like many others that we've seen, you've seen some consistency in this trend. And the nature of uptrends is generally rally up, pull back into a support level, and then rally up from there, kind of creating that bull flag perspective. And I think that's maybe what's setting itself up here in Broadcom, as we see today, again, a bit of a price discovery test higher. It's down 1.3% on the day, so it's a little bit of a move up and then a bit of a sell-off, potentially back down into that 290 level that I've got drawn in there as a level of support. And then the consistency of the narrative here again is the RSI, MACD both tailing off as these prices are moving higher, not suggesting necessarily that this is a reversal indication. And I think if you were to see this break down below 247 that I've got drawn in there, that would be a much bigger concern. But the fact that it's just simply slowing here is suggestive of maybe some rotation into other opportunities and that possibility of getting in on the bounce off of a support level around the 290 mark. But the consistency of the trend is still there, evident in the 200 period moving average, still moving higher, Diane.
Okay. All right. So now, Jason, take us through your trade approach for Broadcom from here. What's the strategy?
So if we look at Broadcom, same thing. I want to go out about a year. So I'm looking at the June 18th, 270 strike price call option. It's going to cost you about $70. Your break even is going to be roughly around 340. You got 322 days on that option. And like I said, you always want to have an I'm wrong level. If the market starts to roll over, it's only two sectors holding it up, industrials and tech. And if tech starts to fall, other things are going to fall with it. But long term, I think we go higher. But you want to look at that 20-day moving average, see if it comes back to test it and then goes higher. But that's the trade. Give it some time. Don't day trade it. Just let the money flow into this sector as we're living through electricity being put in the form of AI again.
Okay, and let's hit the last one on your list. You've got Taiwan Semi on your list. Also been an outperformer compared to the S&P 500 year to date. So now where do you go?
So the thought process behind Taiwan Semiconductor is they don't make a chip, so they're not competing with anyone, but they are who everyone goes to get their chips made. So they're the foundry of it. And so, yeah, I love that. And so they're actually a benefactor of all the Mag 7 spending, and then they're a benefactor of the Nvidias, of the Broadcoms, who need their chips made, or custom chips, or their broad usage chips made. And so they're kind of like if there was a gold mine and people were selling shovels, they're the company that's selling the picks and the shovels to help you mine the gold. So I love that they kind of have a lane of their own. Also, cup and handle pattern, stock broke out, continuing to go higher. Like any trade, you want to have an I'm wrong level, so I'm looking at this at that 20-day moving average as well, but I'm sure Ben's going to walk us through the technicals.
Okay, Ben, yeah, you are up. What do the technicals look like for you from your point of view?
Very similar perspective to the previous two, the strength of that trend off the April lows, and now you see a little bit of a pattern developing here over the course of the last week or so, up around this 245 mark, which has acted as once, twice, three times a resistance, and that's what's getting tested yesterday and today. And if we get a bounce off of the bottom of this ascending triangle pattern and the breakthrough that 245, the technicals suggest a move out to a symmetrical target around the 260 mark. The thing that's working against it, again, is the consistent narrative of the sentiment indicators tailing off. We see it even happening today in both MACD and RSI, a little bit of weakness in that upward momentum. So it's got to regain some drive, but overall, Longer term trends still there, but you've got an objective point at which a decision could be made here, Diane.
So not a pun, but a play on words. You always deliver on that front, Ben. All right, Jason, the floor is yours when it comes to your trade approach here. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so Taiwan Semiconductor, you probably know the drill by now. We're going out at least about a year out. So we're looking at the June 18, 2026 call options, 230 strike price. You're paying about $43 for that, which is going to put you at about $273 for break even. Ben did point out that it tested that 245 area, so it did throw a doji about a week ago up there, and it's having a hard time breaking through. But remember, with earnings out, some people are going to be taking profits, and those stocks just go straight up. But again, if you're going out about a year, these are the industries and sectors that the money is flowing into. And I think if you can give yourself 6 to 12 months, I think long term it goes higher. And again, you want to have an I'm wrong level. I like that 20-day moving average. If it breaks down below that, we got to start to ask ourselves, do we want to take a small loss, or do we want to roll some put options in there to protect our portfolio?
All right, Jason, thank you. Those are the trades for today from Jason Brown, founder of thebrownreport.com. And also our thanks to our very own Ben Watson, Senior Manager of Trading Services here for Charles Schwab.